Have a seat so we can get started. Were there any survivors? So, Infinity Ltd. learned a lesson the hard way, and we exposed the traitor among us. I figured it was related. And were you able to determine the purpose of this secure wing? Our disposal unit was quite impressed. I hope you'll be more careful should another assignment like this turn up. He may have mentioned it. I encourage you to talk to the board members and get their feelings on the subject. Perhaps if I can't change your mind, they can. Just don't forget, you still have a job to come back to. A job well done. I'll be sure to send word to our security team. After Imogene, Dalton and I will be speaking at length about additional security needs. Any other matters to bring forth? It's why we try and incentivize clean work. One less indeed, because there will always be more. Wrong. The execution matters just as much. Something you should have learned by now. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope you're ready for your next assignment. Ularu assured me it's safe. I hope you're here with a completion report. You're smart. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Not long, according to her. She and DeMarcus have everything prepped and ready. We have a deal being held up by a single executive. The Council of Governors is a group of political and corporate elite that oversee the Freestar Collective. Ryujin Industries may have a sordid history, but under my guidance as CEO, we've maintained both success and reputation. What happened to Ularu was unfortunate, and I never thought such a choice would have rested on your shoulders. All those in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd. I've been the CEO of Ryujin Industries for over 10 years now. Good. Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion. Now, I also had a report that you were spotted at the clinic. I take it you traced the shipment there? All right, let's get straight to it then. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd? Well said. That's unfortunate. Although a true testament to your skills as an operative. Once the shipment is secure, bring it back here at once and deliver it to Vina. We want her to complete her prototype as soon as possible. In the case of our operatives, losing your job just holds higher consequences. I have an assignment for you that may require the use of the internal neuroamp. I suppose there is some truth to that. With the tech we've given you, I expect promises. If I need you again in the future, I'll be sure to notify you. Lyndon, Genevieve, Alexis, Dalton and myself will be in attendance. Dalton, back with what I wanted? In due time. A competitor is working on something new. Vina, you were saying? Well, you ops have a lot more freedom than any other position here. We'll determine the truth for ourselves once Yuko has extracted the information. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. I gave you an assignment. I don't want to see you again until it's done. Dalton's waiting on you. On the contrary, competition forces innovation. We not only welcome it, we need it. Internal neuroamp research will continue. The dangers have been noted. The mercenary group? Only that you mean business if you hire them. And with Ularu in charge now, I've no doubt she'll use you to her heart's content. If you're here to gloat, save it. So, it looks like both Infinity Ltd. And Ularu learned a lesson the hard way. Why would we shelve it after we've finally perfected it? It's a lot of pressure for a new hire. Put that back, now. I'm sure I don't have to remind you where the door is if you're not capable of handling this task. Keep it simple. There shouldn't be much need for improvisation here. All against? You're taking out a liability. Nothing more, nothing less. Ularu? What is this about? Who is this? Camden managed all of our outside contracts. You have a key card to find. I suggest you make it quick. What do you think you're doing? To start this meeting, let me just say that the SSNN allegations are completely false. Don't be too quick to discredit the competition. I couldn't have said it better. We'll see about that. We have a team standing by should any extra cleanup be necessary. Now, I'm pretty sure I can get this deal pushed through, even with the sudden passing of our dear friend. I'll need to launch an investigation to be certain, but I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Well said. Vina is the only exception, of course. Her work on the internal neuroamp takes priority, so standard rules apply. No mess. The more this can look like a natural decision, the better. I hope you at least attempted to use the internal neuroamp. I know you can as well. So now you're fully aware of my expectations. As far as the corporate news world is concerned, it certainly will be. And don't worry, I'm certain between Alexis and Genevieve, any legal or moral issues will be taken care of by the time it goes to market. Good. Feel free to deal with any resistance however you see fit. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved. Dalton is our chief security officer. He oversees everything: employees, network, information, even the tower itself. As long as your report states the target was eliminated, we'll tell Bayou that the task is complete. What? That can't be. Be prepared for anything. Once you have the shipment, bring it straight back to Vina. I see. So Ularu's the one who put you up to this. I hope you've come prepared. I knew something bad had happened. With your new position, you now have an office with mission board access, and you're free to make your own hours. You've already experienced the majority of what we do in your early assignments. With Ecliptic involved, the odds are slim. I'll send out another team to investigate. This key card is going to open the floodgates. Good job there, Op. I'm looking forward to seeing results, Operative. Well, that's a question you'll have to ask yourself. Not often, and certainly not to this degree. Aren't we all? Now, to get to work on the documentation. We also want to avoid a body count on this assignment. A murder report will only distract from what we're trying to accomplish here, which is why I'd like you to talk to the board to convince them this is the right move. It's standard procedure. When it comes to protecting this corporation, no one is untouchable. Not everyone has the resources to have decent medical facilities like us on site. Corporations can sink low, but this is a new level. Do you have what I wanted? Being an operative comes with many risks. I'm sure this one knew what they were getting into. And would it have made a difference if you did? And wish he shall. Every day. While he rots away in prison. Your presence is mandatory as our main witness, investigator, and operative for the assignment to come. So don't be late. It would have been mine had the roles been reversed. In the meantime, at least the only person to have one is our own operative. I suppose, since we're trusting you in this investigation, I can give you some details. Our disposal unit would have been impressed had they not had to work so hard. Ularu was the first, but she won't be the last. Depending on whether or not you evacuate the building, you'll mostly be looking at security guards, much like we have here. You made the right choice in the end, didn't you? Fine. Whether or not you use the internal neuroamp is up to you, but I still want results. Our cleanup crew, on the other hand, informed me they had to work some unexpected overtime. Dalton will be covering details on the mole, and I'm going to begin detailing out my plans for handling Infinity Ltd. Should the situation not go as planned, you're free to use any methods that don't involve bloodshed to get the results we need.
A job well done.
Are you ready to discuss the results? Fine. Cut the crap, Dalton. I'm sending an operative your way, along with some files to your computer. I hope that's not a general philosophy. You have a lot to learn when it comes to dealing with people. It doesn't matter what he believes. David's first move will be to verify the information you provide. The station is called CM Station RC1. It's on a moon called Carinae 3A in the Carinae system. Indeed. A mess that I expect you to help clean up. And quickly. Now, back to work. I'm sure you have plenty of other assignments waiting for you. Some form of persuasion is best, but may be difficult, since that's what we've relied on up until now. Good. I take your presence here to mean that it's done. Operative, since you found this information, I am trusting you to help investigate. Even more so thanks to the neuroamp we outfitted you with. It's very important this executive see things our way. Ex-operatives leave with the understanding that we'll be surveilling them. Unfortunately for us, this debt is paid in favors. It's very important we receive at least half the vote on both issues. The CEO rules in the event of a tie. Learn to control your impulses. You don't kill someone because you can't take no for an answer. At least not in our business. You'll find most of the board members in their offices preparing. Vina is also here, waiting for the meeting to start. In this industry, you'd be foolish not to use every weapon at your disposal. Of course. But these particular assignments required a certain secrecy that most do not. I fear the worst for the people on that station. You always have a choice. You just have to decide which set of consequences you prefer to live with. Then you're more foolish than I expected. Excuse me, that isn't yours. But with the external appearance, people can always be aware of those who have them and may be using them. SSNN is used to anonymous tips. They'll do whatever verifications they deem necessary on their own to confirm the story. Unfortunately, yes, so be prepared. Yes. The mission board is far more efficient than dealing with someone in person. They're not known for subtlety, and don't care if they leave a trail of bodies in their wake. Perhaps it's a matter we can discuss when you return, assuming the results are in our favor. That is a very long game you're referring to, for a future I hope we all see someday. As I was saying, any CEO can be aggressive. The real question is how strategic they are. Excuse me? You should ask Vina about her sometime. I've heard they have a bit of a competitive history. If there's nothing else, this meeting is concluded. Thanks to your inability to follow simple instructions, the deal has been called off. Vina is completing the internal neuroamp prototype as we speak. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Just your presence showing up unexpected. That puts them off guard, which already gives you an advantage. Your completed assignments would state otherwise. Because you exposed this information, I have little reason to suspect you. So, Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson today. I want you to find the schematic and bring it in for analysis. Good luck, and be sure to report directly back to me when you return. The mole took priority. Now that Dalton has everything he needs, thanks to you, we're free to proceed. I hope you're ready for this. It's a lot of pressure for a new hire. If Infinity Ltd. has obtained any information on it, that means we have a very well-connected mole within our corporation. Operatives simply have fewer restrictions when it comes to getting results.
Good.
Failure is not an option here, which is why we're sending you in. Yes, you'd think after all this time, there'd be a few lessons learned. All right. Yuko has provided a layout of Infinity Ltd. Impossible! An impressive feat, even for one of our own field operatives. You realize we're all waiting on you. Is there a reason you're still here? I trusted her to be competent at her job, and she excelled. I look forward to listening to SSNN when you return. Good. You got my message. I wasn't finished. Vina, prep Project Dominion for storage. We confirm their desire is genuine. And you. I thought we had a deal. But in our everyday actions, I believe the skills you operatives have allow you to rise above the need for violence.
That's your job to figure out.
You've put in a lot of hard work here recently, so I understand if a vacation is in order. Consider it the norm for your line of work. Operatives are one of our greatest assets. Precisely my line of thinking. That's not an acceptable answer. Don't forget who you work for. The best for Ryujin's profits? Or the people? Just keep in mind that failure is not an option here. Once you're done, report back to me. We prefer to teach them hard lessons and give them the rest of their lives to reflect on their mistakes. Behind bars. Now, as far as our late exec is concerned, I'll get Viv working on a narrative about why that shouldn't slow this deal down. I always thought Ularu's ambition would be her weakness. We need fines to investigate this immediately. Should you get caught, we'll deny knowledge of your plans, as usual. That's what I like to hear. Your next assignment is set up. Are you ready? Acquiring Infinity Ltd could have brought significant growth and increased our public perception. Get it right next time. Lucky for you, it was a small deal, so your actions only cost us millions. We're sending you into Infinity Ltd. Not everyone's smart enough to see real opportunity when it presents itself. We need to make sure anyone who does survive is well taken care of. Arguments? And with the Rothocytes secure, it's almost time for us to make our move. We'll be voting on the fate of Infinity Ltd. And now I also assume my position is at stake. A word of warning. Our relationship with Bayu is a top priority around here. Crossing him is ill-advised. You work for me, so next time think before you let a stupid question like that out of your mouth. The competition has a rising operative that needs to be discharged. Mission accomplished. As if dealing with us means they've lost some moral high ground. It's absurd. Lucas Drexler is about to learn exactly why you don't steal from Ryujin Industries. I'm glad we're on the same page. Our technicians are thorough, but they aren't that thorough. I believe you were specifically told that we did not want a body count on this assignment. It could be environmental, mechanical, or worst case scenario, pirates, mercenaries. Yes, it's a good thing we have operatives like you to help them see the error of their ways. And that's precisely why I know we can count on you.
By any means possible.
We caught hostile operatives with Ryujin Tech a while back, and linked them to the Freestar Collective's Council of Governors. To reiterate, don't you have some work to do? Now, if you're ready, I have your next assignment. I can't say Ryujin is not without its missteps, but those days were before my time as CEO. The deceased may think otherwise. Should another assignment arise that requires your skill set, you'll be notified. Good. You're here. Get your priorities straight, or start looking for a new job. Let's not bring morality into question when you clearly had no issues taking a life. Ready for your next assignment? Dr. Lane. I believe Vina is familiar with his work, specializing in neurosurgery. As long as our relationship is beneficial, we'll maintain it. Your best is sorely lacking. You may encounter an automated defense system in the form of turrets as well, so be careful. Once you're done, meet me in my office. Be ready to discuss the details of your next assignment. We can begin once you've been seated. Corporate culture may have its ugly side, but that doesn't mean we've lost our humanity. It certainly will, and we'll have front row seats. And I'll prove it, no matter how long it takes. Next time, don't get caught. We need one of their security keycards to find out what we may be up against. Overall, good work. I'll let the others know to prepare the documentation. Nice try. A job well done. But if you're right, I see no issues in allowing them to remain anonymous. Option A, you need to remain under the radar the entire time. Neuroamps make some people nervous because they can enhance your ability to influence others. Exactly how I like to think of our competitors. Deal with the operative as you see fit. I'll just have Alexis and Viv apply a little extra pressure. We have a long and complex history with the administrator. Plus, you can pick and choose from what's available. In the future, I'd avoid making such promises. But in this case, I don't see any harm in allowing you to uphold it. You're doing your job, and that's what matters. I've received information on a new prototype being developed by a competitor. So no penalties will be incurred for this particular assignment. But I do encourage you to be reasonable. Good, you're here. Ularu was discovered to be a mole for Infinity Ltd. Our operative here confirmed it, and the situation was dealt with. You expect me to believe you're simply an unwilling pawn in this? I'll have Dalton put additional securities in place, but she learned a very humbling lesson today. Project Dominion is our latest advancement in neuroamp technology. Before you speculate any further, Lyndon is correct. And I'm not a fan of your attitude. Your talents enable you to avoid situations like this. So let's hope you're wiser in the future. I knew you'd be a powerful asset, It's only a shame this was how you'd choose to show it. I need you to get the schematic they're working on, so we can evaluate it. It's your paycheck that'll suffer, not mine. Good. I'm glad you see this as an opportunity. I'll be ordering a full investigation, but I have my suspicions, which I'll address once this meeting has concluded. In most cases, the clinic is also the best choice for research. I trust you'll get it done. You'll find your new office on the operations floor, by any means possible. The mission board is basically a computerized kiosk where you'll be getting the majority of your assignments from now on. Should Ularu run this company, the reputation of Ryujin Industries will change dramatically. Not for this one, but I trust you'll get it done. Unraveling the complex relationship would be years of work. So until it's no longer beneficial, I'm content to take it slow. We received a complaint against one of our operatives that I want you to act on. That's when we offer to acquire them. The only thing left on that slate will be proof of Infinity Ltd's crimes. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd? Go ahead, Maeve. Right. One of our competitors is trying to gain a lead in the tech industry with a new product. Once you've run the Overseer program and obtained the prototype, your final step is to deliver the slate to David Barron at the SSNN field office. I don't care what anyone says or what the evidence is. I know you're behind this. Of course, but our technicians don't have the skills that our operatives do. But we can't afford to have any loose ends. Faye is the head of Infinity Ltd's research and development team. An operative's biggest fear may be exposure. You and me both. Good. I hope your presence here means you have what I want. The pressing situation remains. Lucas Drexler was given vital information on Project Dominion, and we can't allow him to use it. Ex-Ryujin operatives know the power of the corporation. It's unfortunate about Imogene, but in our business, she wasn't the first, and certainly won't be the last. That's where we come in. First, we'll issue a public statement expressing disgust at their leadership, but sympathy for the innocent workers. So we're issuing you an operative suit. Just look at our position. We're based in Neon, a city controlled largely by Benjamin Bayou. It seems you're having issues following orders. I already saw the reports. You killed that executive, and now the deal is off. I leave the choice up to you. But the same results will still be expected. I hope you've come prepared. Even with her aggressive tactics, she'll keep Ryujin at the top for decades to come. The administrator wants us to deal with a rival operative. You do. So listen up. I didn't realize you were a stickler for morals. Not a common trait for operatives. Pay attention. We're giving you a slate with a program that has to be run on Lucas Drexler and Fei Sengsavan's computers. How dare you! You need to run Ularu's Overseer program on Lucas Drexler and Fei Sengsavan's computers, and steal their current iteration of the internal neuroamp. Our current neuroamps are all external devices, but Project Dominion would be the first surgically implanted internal neuroamp on the market. I was elected CEO when my predecessor, Itaru Saito, was proving to be incompetent. Good. I may not condone murder, but I refuse to have sympathy for indiscriminate killers like Ecliptic. If only. He'll do some preliminary confirmations, which will be enough to get the broadcast out to the public. It's well earned and deserved. Between hiring Ecliptic and unauthorized human trials, we have enough to take Lucas down for good. I think I can get Viv or Alexis to put the pressure on, so we don't lose too much time. Well done. Our latest line of neuroamps were created to help with the user's self-image. Your unwarranted assumption has been noted. She's notorious for her lack of morality, so it's no surprise that Lucas has a woman like her in charge. You can't be serious. If you have anything to report, speak to Dalton. Either way, the damage is done. I see. Should we use any of this information to expose Infinity Ltd? I can keep their names confidential. I encourage you to speak to the board members. We'll be having the meeting shortly to determine the fate of Infinity Ltd. And now, I imagine, myself as CEO. Your top priorities are securing a shipment of refined rothicite and finding out what happened to that mining station. With the internal neuroamp, you can manipulate others any way you choose. This isn't over. Once Vina can properly evaluate this so-called breakthrough technology, we can determine a proper course of action. We don't know to what extent Infinity has taken the current neuroamp schematics, so our top priority is completing our own. I think the answer is obvious. Your ship docking there simply caught their attention is all. Precisely why we're sending you. Thank you, Vina. I'll send them down immediately. All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. A perfect comparison. I'll make sure he gets this. And it appears you're free to move on. He was jeopardizing our relationships with both the Free Star Collective and Benjamin Bayou, which would have made doing business extremely difficult for Ryujin. It had better be. The only ones who don't want to deal with us are usually holding out for some selfish reason. Credits, spite, morality. The corporate world has its share of idiots. It's a shame we have to deal with them as often as we do. So, what did you learn about CM Station RC-1? They need to be made an example of, so others know the consequences, should they follow suit. You may like answering questions with questions, but I prefer actual answers. Once Vina can complete the internal neuroamp and shielding mod, the plan is to outfit you with both and have you infiltrate Infinity Ltd. Unfortunately, the person who could have answered that question, Camden Cho, was let go recently. And thank you. Some operatives may have seized this as an opportunity for extortion. It's good to know your loyalty lies with us. I'm sure you remember your actions during Directive Theta, especially in regards to Administrator Bayou. I am right. There's no room for doubt here. And also, your opinion. Our station on Carone 3A and Consolidated Mining's contract were both confidential. I've no doubt you had something to do with this. I can see how relying on such technology may not be for everyone. You see, Project Dominion is confidential. It requires a high security clearance to even know it exists. Yes. Thank you. The guilty party is Imogene Salzo, much to my disappointment. Our operative here obtained the evidence to confirm it, and setting up a station like this is second nature for Consolidated Mining, with plenty of redundancies in place to handle mechanical failures. Now, I had Ularu create a program that you need to run on both Lucas and Faye's computers. I'll let her explain the details. If competition was a thing to be feared, this corporation would have collapsed ages ago. As long as you work for us, you don't have a choice. Perfect. This exposure puts Infinity right where we want them.
You're smart. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Remember, I want a clean assignment. It's important this remains off our competitors' radar. If Genevieve and her team had the arsenal you did, I'm certain this problem would never arise. I'll be following up with a few of you shortly. I suppose it is. Gratitude isn't something you typically hear these days in the corporate world. Head up to the executive floor and speak to Dalton. He has an update for you on the mole's identity. Now, get back to work. I'll make sure Yuko's team extracts every bit of information they can from the clinic's database on this. The meeting will begin momentarily. But I want you to discuss the options we have with the other members. I can't discuss the details. Company policy. We're wasting time. Vina needs that shipment. Good. I hadn't heard any complaints from the usual suspects, so it doesn't sound like any large-scale cleanup was needed. Well done. That's one less security risk for us. You're lucky the cost isn't coming out of your paycheck. Now we can see if we truly have some competition to address. Our cleanup crew also informed me they had no aftermath to deal with. We can't allow for the negotiations to fail, so I need you to go in and secure success. Otherwise, I may have had more useful information. It's not obvious yet? Take control of the situation. You have the key card? Operatives know the consequences of their actions. The Overseer program purges itself once its primary function is complete. Since you're the only operative in possession of the internal neuroamp, this assignment seems best suited for you. I believe I gave you an assignment, Operative. But now, with these false accusations, I may never have the opportunity to run a business again. Well said. I was also informed that no cleanup was necessary, to the delight of our other departments. From there, you have 3 targets. And with Ularu in charge now, I've no doubt she'll use you to her heart's content.
Their security is no match for ours.
I hope the others will give you more insight. It's good to know we're of the same mind on this one.
I expect he'll launch an investigation and put you to good use.
This concludes our order of business for today. But what's done is done. Maybe you will run this place one day after all. It certainly is. And it's also time to inform the rest of the board on the current situation. Good. You're here. We already have a team prepped to handle any fallout. We had no reason to believe they'd be under any threat. These will be no different, although I may have more personalized assignments for you later. We must receive at least 50% of the vote. As their name may suggest, they were created when several smaller companies came together in order to compete with the dominating names at the time, like Argos. I trust you and Dalton will take care of this. A poor excuse. If you want to guarantee success, the internal neuroamp is your greatest asset.
I'll take that as a yes. Good work.
And I want to know what happened. We need to take any safety measures to make sure this doesn't happen again. I want you to make sure that the negotiations are successful. I fail to see how these decisions are for the best. I hope you have that schematic. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but in a corporate world, we prefer a more subtle approach. I hope that enthusiasm sticks with you for the foreseeable future. No one wants their greatest asset used against them. Unfortunately, your skills will be needed elsewhere, but only for a brief detour. I expect you to complete this assignment discreetly. Now, get back to your regular assignments. Aren't we all? Unfortunately, it will have to wait. As expected. I was also informed that an unusual amount of cleanup was required. Oh, if only the competition could hear that. Not like we haven't been saying it for years. We have no business to discuss until you're back with what I want. None? Excellent. Moving on, then. Their security is no match for ours. I have your next assignment prepared, if you're ready. And now that she knows the board majority is behind me, there's little she'll be able to do. Although, I may still have more specific assignments for you. Questions? Good. I guarantee the moment he scratches the surface on that story, he'll have a broadcast sent to every system. I believe it's just a matter of creating the alloy and molding it according to her design. Thank you, Vina. I'll send her down immediately. Exactly what I want to hear. I hope we're already putting those talents to good use. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it. They grew their business on dependability and service, and still retain those qualities today. Fear is not the way we prefer to motivate others. I didn't realize body disposal was amongst your many talents. I have something I'd prefer you to handle. And like most corporate executives, they'll see things our way once you give them the proper motivation. Good, you're here. I wasn't sure how accurate Vina's promise of no downtime was going to be. While I don't care for your wording, I won't argue with your results. This is exactly why the internal neuroamp could be of great use. Our business relationship with Bayou must be maintained at all costs, as long as you're prepared when the time comes. Profits aren't everything. Impossible. Unfortunately, we had to cut ties with our supply chain manager, Camden Cho, and his replacement is still getting up to speed. Find the operative and do what you must. Don't worry, we'll figure it out and get that shipment back. You've brought an enormous security violation to our attention, so I trust you'll help in any way possible. If you have the Rotosite, speak to Vina first. That's what we're counting on. I need you to get a security keycard. Easy enough. The internal neuroamp is a key component of Ryujin Industries' success for the next 10 years, if not more.
Sounds like the word you're having trouble finding is yes.
Saito was enraged. He wanted more than the usual compensation from the Freestar Collective. He wanted the truth. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot to process. Come back when you're ready. So, any final questions before you go?
A simple yes or no would be a better answer in the future.
The moment we justify the slaughter of innocents is when we go from competitive to criminal. The two aren't mutually exclusive. I proved it can be done. Do I need to have your associate escorted out of the building? We can't allow the amount of corporate knowledge our operatives accumulate to be compromised, but they do so with the knowledge that we'll be watching. Lyndon and I already had that conversation, and yes, you will be getting an increase in wages from now on. You'll be restricted to the marketing floor. An appointment is not a free pass. You also need to steal their current prototype of the internal neuroamp kept on their R&D floor. Well, that makes two of us. Be assured, if I had any doubt in you, we wouldn't be speaking. I wouldn't have chosen you otherwise. Dalton should appreciate the sentiment. Dalton should appreciate the sentiment. Good. That's all I wanted to hear. We'll need at least 50% of the vote to go our way. In the event of a tie, I will make the final decision. That's your opportunity to make your way to either the executive floor or R&D. Her unchecked tactics will be heavy-handed, involving murder without question of both the innocent and the guilty. Shouldn't you be on your way? Just remember, incidents come at a price, so keep it clean. I can assure you, it's safe. Be grateful your paycheck remains intact. Good. One less worry for our security team. Your run with the internal neuroamp really proved its compatibility. I'd say we're ready for the next step. Only that they're out of their element here. All against? Of course. And we'd be doing them if not for your own show of incompetence. With the schematic in hand, we'll be able to determine if a threat really exists. Unbelievable! You got it? I see you got my message. Our disposal unit also mentioned that there was no cleanup involved in the assignment. I heard you bring good news, and the deal is going through. Well, plus, there's always that handful of people that think they've got something to prove by not working for Ryujin. As if other corporations are really any better. Only a handful of competitor operatives have set foot in the building, and our physical security was able to quickly subdue them. Option B? We give you an assigned identity and arrange a meeting for you. Don't let it go to your head. Viv and her team operate under far more restrictions than you do.
Well said.
They are no longer in our employ. You're just going to deliver the official message. I want the executive alive. Once we officially acquire Infinity, our competitors will have a hard time remaining viable. If the shipment has been moved, I want you to use every resource to relocate it and report back with any information you find along the way. It comes with the territory. Controlling the narrative is of the utmost importance. Remember to be prepared. If we wanted to use fear as motivation, we'd have already done so. Let me introduce you to Vina Kalra, Head of Research and Development. She'll give you the initial details. First, you have Lucas Drexler's computer, located in his office on the executive floor. Good work. I just received word that the approval went through. Imogene's instincts were right about you. It's a shame ours weren't right about her. I'll take that answer as a yes. Just remember, the only headline we want to see is a mysterious murder or missing person. Keep it simple. Quite right. And yet not useful enough to avoid a body count? Once finished, you bring the slate to David Barron at SSNN and the prototype back to me. I truly appreciate what you've done. No operative has taken such drastic measures to ensure the safety of this corporation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up? Second is Faye Sengsavan's computer, in research and development. Your talents make you perfect for this assignment. I'd consider it a minor inconvenience for any operative under our employment. The disposal unit also mentioned the unusually excessive amount of cleanup they had to do for such a simple assignment. Since the results of this assignment have proved to be extremely disappointing, you'll notice a reduction in pay. With the internal neuroamp at your disposal, there's no excuse for sloppy work here. To think I had high hopes for you. I think we all share that concern, which is why I want you to find out exactly what happened while recovering the shipment. I don't believe we have anything to discuss at the moment. Shelving the internal neuroamp. Not the outcome I anticipated. I take it you've wrapped up that assignment? And in case it's not clear, that means I want them alive. And, of course, Administrator Bayou is one of them. If he asks questions, feel free to give him just enough information to pique his interest, but no mention of Ryujin or who you are. Far from extreme, it's necessary. I have it on good authority. The experimentations they've done to replicate the missing pieces of our work have resulted in fatalities. I think you're ready to kick things up a notch. Accidents happen, and sometimes circumstances like these require it. Your payment's been arranged, minus incidentals. Have I told you how much the operations team loves you lately? Because they certainly do. Indeed he was. I felt he left me no choice but to propose his removal, and the others nominated me as his successor. To be clear, it's never my first choice. Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. And when I say deal with, it means he wants them dead. I trust you're making progress, especially since you've proven yourself to be a key asset that worked against her. Good. That's exactly what I want to hear when you report back. Good. I'll notify Fines and his security team. You do have an exceptional talent for retrieving things. Stealing isn't beneath our competition, so it's not beneath us either. Is it done? Enough. At least we all know where everyone stands. Stick to your target. Stay discreet. Yes, I'm sure it does. Exactly how I like to think of our competitors. To repeat myself, I'll take that. They consistently get the job done, which is why we chose them to run this station. And also why we're so concerned. Let's hope for the best. But what's done is done. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot to process. I'll have R&D start analyzing this right away, especially after massacring innocents working for us. Our operative will receive the implant, infiltrate Infinity Ltd, and obtain any and all research. Yes, very unfortunate, especially with all the tools at your disposal. We are leaning toward the latter. We've trusted you this far, so I feel it's safe to continue the trend. It's time to put a plan in motion to take full control of this situation with Infinity Ltd.
You may like answering questions with questions, but I prefer actual answers.
If the media were to draw their own conclusions, I'm certain they'd just create a panic among people. Well, not the decisions I had in mind, but it's quite clear where you stand. The project itself was nearing completion, which is why exposing the mole is of utmost importance. We can't allow any more research to fall into their hands. With the deal secure, I can finally rest easy. I'll have this delivered to R&D, so Vina can begin the reverse engineering process. Camden, you were saying? Dalton? You can't seriously believe that. One can never be competitive enough. Not in this industry. The mission board holds your assignments, and you can pick and choose to your strengths. It's well-deserved. Once they're securely on our side, report back to me. And third, you need to obtain the prototype they are working on, also in R&D. Since I promoted him, we've decreased our security breaches by 96%. I thought it would be. But on the off chance it was related to your assignment, they're currently combing through the clinic records as we speak. Hardly. We haven't come this far out of fear. Perhaps we'll reevaluate your position in the future. Although you don't seem the type to be content sitting behind a desk. I'll be ordering a full investigation, but I can only assume Imogene had a few final tricks up her sleeve before we were able to act. As long as it's good news, I suppose I can overlook your irritation.
Mission accomplished.
If I need you again, I'll notify you. Good. You may get started at any time, but I suggest you familiarize yourself with the mission board before leaving. Yes, that's exactly what it's designed for. The bright side being, they'll never know.
I pay you to determine that for yourself.
A simple yes or no would be a better answer in the future. The one thing I cannot deny is the advantage you bring to this corporation. Assuming I know exactly how this situation came about, I have only a few things to say. It's what allows you to make your own hours, since you don't need a personal handler. The last shipment we were supposed to receive never arrived, and we've gotten no response to our queries from the station. Now, I had Yuko work with Dalton to create a program that you need to run on both Lucas and Faye's computers. I'll let him explain the details. Remember, I want clean work. If anything goes wrong, it's at your cost. You have 2 options for this assignment. We'll be providing you with the means for both. Lucas must be desperate if he hired them to collect the Rothosite. No need for details. I've already been told the deal was approved. I need you to obtain the prototype schematic. Just keep in mind, in order for this deal to go through without any suspicion, it's best the executive be handled delicately. I'm waiting. We expect our employees to do whatever it takes to ensure Ryujin's success. That means no deductions for any cleanup if needed. But it does not mean you have carte blanche. I need you to obtain a prototype schematic from one of our competitors. Until then, I'm still CEO, and we'll be moving forward with this meeting to acquire Infinity Ltd. Taking out an operative isn't always easy, but I trust you can handle it. Traitors. All of you. Infinity is about to crumble before the eyes of the public. They employ thousands of people, and those thousands of people are now worried about their jobs. After Ularu, Dalton and I will be speaking at length about additional security needs. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial. And he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. I highly recommend using it, since it's why you're being chosen for this assignment. It's important to remain in good relations with our partners. They can boost confidence and the ability to communicate and think critically. Try not to waste any more time. And you freely admit it. My next question would be, who put you up to this? Says the biggest traitor of them all. Right on time. I want you to get the schematic, but it's imperative that you don't get caught. I trust it must be important if you're willing to neglect your job so outright. And if anyone was left alive, it should have been Lucas Drexler. Once again, once we have the Rothosite, we can finally set my plan in motion. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd. Considering you've come this far, I find that hard to believe. The meeting has left me with a lot to consider. After that, you're left with bribery and threats. But remember, we want this executive alive. But, provided our technicians don't uncover anything too damning, I'm sure their involvement can remain confidential.
You work for me. So next time, think before you let a stupid question like that out of your mouth.
The board consists of the 7 main officers that run this corporation. Good work. Our security team will appreciate the news. By incorporating Infinity, we eliminate a competitor, get their best employees and contracts, and all while boosting our public perception. I trust you'll be able to sway them to make the right decisions. Of course.
Exactly how I like to think of our competitors.
Ryujin may gain financial success, but the percentage is not worth the real cost. That's why they're usually easy to turn in the end. Don't sell yourself short. A mere thief would never make it this far. Vina will be waiting for you in the Neuroamp division in R&D. Consolidated Mining is one of the oldest and most trusted mining companies in the settled systems. None? I've also been lucky enough to continue and grow its success since I took the position.
That's a question you'll have to ask yourself.
The competition is working on a new prototype. It's rumored to surpass our own technology. Before you speculate any further, no, it's not Vina. However, you did incur a few expenses, which you'll see reflected in your payment. As long as there's no underlying motive, the departure is amicable. I'm told one of our competitors has begun work on a new project. Exactly. It also buys us time, which, unfortunately, we need.
Dalton should appreciate the sentiment.
All those in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd. I never would have expected to hear those two weren't on the same side. Let's hear your report. Faye's death may be a pain point, but at least Lucas is still alive to face the incoming consequences. He set up the initial agreements with Consolidated Mining, so he had on-site access and knowledge that we could have used. The truth is, we'll be making evaluations. We'll shed any employees who don't make the cut, slowly but surely. Well, an internal neuroamp would be unnoticeable. Should it be used to influence someone, that person would be none the wiser. When an operative leaves under good terms, their risk will be assessed and they'll be monitored accordingly. The ones who will need the most persuading are Alexis and Ularu. Vina is more of a wild card. Just make sure she's on our side. Get it together. Next time I see you, I'll expect you to be prepared. Since this assignment requires special handling, no pay deductions will apply. Thank you, Vina. I'll send him down immediately. I think we both know the battle I'm about to face will be far from fair. I couldn't have put it better myself. Our moves are strategic and precise, as you should know. I do have suspicions, but feel it's too early to say at this time. David it is, then. Our team needs access, so I'm tasking you with getting the necessary keycard. I need you to deal with a rogue operative. If you insist on alternatives, you'll have to rely on your own abilities to sway them. We'll find out soon enough. Of course not. The meeting is just a legitimate way in. Once inside, you'll be led to a waiting room, where your host will be running late. Thanks to your inability to follow protocol, we now owe him a debt. One that you get to pay. So this is about the money, is it? If someone has a keycard, that means you have a keycard. Really? Vina is the only exception, since her work on the internal neuroamp takes priority. Well, and the late Ularu Chen, of course. For obvious reasons. Excuse me, I have a lot of business to attend to now. When given the opportunity to remove an asset from the competition, we take it. We prefer to deal in subtlety, gathering information to change a narrative or staying one step ahead, which is why you have my full faith for this assignment. Ularu has the operations team to manipulate any pieces she sees fit. As long as trust remains intact, they're free to live out their lives. Enough with your attitude, Ularu. I knew it'd be a powerful asset. It's only a shame this is how you'd choose to use it. Were you able to determine what he was doing at the clinic? You've done a lot for this corporation, but you still have expectations as a Ryujin employee. Option A, you gain entry through their maintenance access on the roof. Good. David won't be able to resist a story like this. I'm sure you understand. There are several who might disagree, and you have the perfect tool to help sway them. Yes. The world of corporate espionage is a complex one to navigate. All I can say is that Karane 3A is the only place discovered where Rothosite can be found, which is why our contract is being kept confidential. To think, I held some amount of respect for you. Ryujin has many enemies outside of the corporation. To be an enemy within and avoid detection takes a certain amount of skill that only so many of our employees possess. I'm sure you'll find your pay as an accurate reflection of your work. The station is one of the first to be set up to mine it, which is why we didn't feel reinforced security would be necessary. The truth remains, Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson, and we exposed a traitor among us. I need a keycard so our team can begin the necessary research to remain competitive. Sounds like the word you're having trouble finding is yes. It will be your responsibility to find a way to still complete your assignment and return to us when it's done. I have a meeting to prepare for. We're also issuing you an operative suit. We have a confidential contract with Consolidated Mining to keep the discovery quiet, so it's unusual for them not to respond. Now, let's get back to focusing on what we're actually here for. I won't argue with the board's decision, but the long-term benefits far outweigh the short-term issues, and benefiting Ryujin is our top priority. So, it sounds like Lucas has reached a new level of desperation to ensure his future as CEO. A rival operative needs to be dealt with. Back with the schematic? It is the right thing. For Ryujin, that won't mean you'll be exempt from investigation, of course. Remember, shelving the internal neuroamp is only a temporary measure. We will revisit when the time is right. They are free to do as they please, knowing full well the consequences for betrayal. Of course, we had no reason to believe we had a mole, either. Remember to take any opportunity to push for acquiring Infinity. Seeking Ecliptic on a station with nothing but miners and scientists? Their removal gives us an advantage, which makes your assignment logical and tactical, not extreme. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time. When it's done, report back to Dalton. I have a meeting to prepare for. Ryujin isn't a corporation to be feared. Remember that. You're lucky this deal would only make a minor dent in our profits. You mistake fear for strategy. We're not finished here. It's the only way to ensure certainty. We can't take any risks when it comes to corporate security. Unfortunate, then, that she was prematurely disposed of. Once the story airs, we have another board meeting scheduled to decide how to handle Infinity. Exactly. Without the Rothocyte, their research comes to a halt. We've discovered the identity of a key operative for the competition. We don't target our own. If you fail at your job, you're fired. Operatives are key success factors. Good. I expect a clean assignment. Don't disappoint me. Good. I can tell Vina is going to enjoy working with you. I hope you're ready to listen. You'll only have free range on the marketing floor. Infinity may be cheap, but they know at least some level of security is needed in this business. Due to the outcome, your assignment pay has been reduced. If you think I make these decisions lightly, you're sadly mistaken. Human trials? Without even completing his product? Ugh, Lucas must be insane. That's certainly our hope. Any employee with a sense of drive is sure to show themselves. Unfortunately, it wasn't without incident. I'd suggest you take better care next time if a full paycheck interests you. Pay attention. This will be a day Lucas Drexler will never forget. None? I'll only take a brief moment to express my disappointment here, especially in those who saw it fit to change their minds.
A perfect comparison.
You're a Ryujin employee, and we need a job done. You should be heading down to R&D. I'm not paying you to hang around. Exactly. Ryujin Industries doesn't fear. We merely like to be prepared. So yes, I'm promoting you. If it makes you feel better, think of it as incentive. We haven't had a security breach like this in years, and never on my watch. Just focus on the task at hand. I can see the appeal Ularu represents. I only agreed she could fulfill the role, but never said she could do it well. You're free to return to your mission board assignments. I take it they were at the station? Needless to say, your pay has been reduced due to the disappointing outcome. Yes, I'm quite impressed. I never expected you to pull off what our other representatives failed to do, which is why I might suggest you leave your associate behind. Yes and no. Desperation can drive the best of us to do our worst. Still, it's good to know the applications are proving themselves. It's unfortunate about Ularu, but in our business, she wasn't the first and certainly won't be the last. We've already done some initial evaluations, so I'm certain of it. You set me up, all the tools at your disposal, and yet here we are. I can see how you might come to that conclusion, but I've never been one to condone violence where subterfuge may suffice. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you. A perfect comparison. And Neon is inside the Freestar Collective, controlled by the Council of Governors. Yes, Consolidated Mining knows what's at stake if they fail to deliver. And if anyone was left alive, it should have been Lucas and Faye. They're going to pay, all right. But if you have something to add to their list of criminal activity, I'll be happy to use whatever fuel you can provide. If you think you can somehow convince them on your own, you're welcome to try. But the neuroamp is the straight line to success. Vina's expecting you. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that this situation demands discretion. Lucas's office will be on the top executive floor, while Faye's office and their version of the internal neuroamp prototype will be in R&D, the basement level. You have the schematic? An executive from a potential partner is trying to interfere with an important business deal. Don't rush it. Take your time. Due to the special circumstances of this assignment, we've already prepared for any additional costs. But when you're dealing with human nature in a corporate environment, there's never any real trust to be had. I have a keycard assignment for you. It's simple, so don't overcomplicate it. One of our operatives has violated company rules, and I need you to take them out. Now that you've been outfitted with the internal neuroamp, it's time to put that tech to work. In order to maintain the business relationship, they're no longer under our employ. Well, not the decision I had in mind, but it's quite clear where you stand. Rival operatives are a security risk, in which case nothing is too extreme. I think you mean credits are very persuasive. In an ideal world, yes, it's a goal I look toward, but a move like that isn't something that happens overnight. Yes, threats are often quite effective. I can imagine this wasn't quite the job you envisioned when Imogene first hired you. Ex-operatives need to be handled to protect the company's interests. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. We need you to head out there, secure the shipment, and bring it back here so Vina can complete her prototype. Once he receives confirmation, which he will, he'll see it as his duty to report the news. The possibilities here are really up to you. They either find a new job outside of the corporate environment, or retire happily. I hope you understand the consequences of what you've done. The deal's been called off. I'll deal with Ularu, but the truth is business, and I'm wise enough to know she's best kept here. Did you just... You have the ability to manipulate others. If someone's in your way, you could get them to move. Now, your handling of the situation is going to slow things considerably. Besides, maintaining Infinity Ltd is the most beneficial outcome for all sides. I think even you could agree with that. If you're looking for reassurances, you won't find them here. Report back to me when the assignment's complete. Good. Thousands of people will soon be unemployed, and our greatest asset is now on the shelf. I'd hardly call spending the next few years in a jail cell retirement. Nothing a good operative can't manage. How did I not see this coming? I certainly hope you will. Some prefer to view us as a threat rather than an asset. That's not yours. Any mercenary or disgruntled worker can go shoot a place up. You're a Ryujin operative, so start acting like one. Good work. And assignments come up that may benefit from the internal neuroamp. Why don't you sit so we can get started? I figured. Ryujin already has the best legal team in the settled systems. Hey, we aren't done yet. It's a shame about Infinity Ltd. So much wasted potential. The clinic serves all, but it can't be denied that they require credits to run. Hey, not everyone has the arsenal that you do. And even if they did, they wouldn't be allowed to use most of it. So now it's just a waiting game for SSNN to break the news. The sooner you speak to Dalton, the sooner we can get the meeting started. If only intent mattered. I'll take that as a yes. Option B, you have a slight cover that may give you the opportunity to talk your way to your objectives. It's unlikely. The team has a proven track record with us in the past. They've always been extremely competent and reliable. This is not an assignment I give lightly. Their security is no match for ours. And how did the Neuroamp perform? The public is outraged. Had Lucas not been a casualty in our plans, I'm sure they'd be demanding his head. Operatives are key assets to their corporations. Their actions can cause great harm. Yes, the less people you need to interact with, the better. Ideally, none at all. A competitor is working on a new product that I want our engineers to analyze. Should I need you, I'll send for you. No, death is too good for our enemies. Ryujin's relationship with Bayu must be maintained. I've yet to hear anything of note on SSNN. Let's hear your report. Back with that keycard? I've called a meeting, and I expect you to attend. It's time to put the final plan in motion. We also need this executive alive. Should the unfortunate happen, the deal could be postponed indefinitely. That's exactly what he wants to hear. We'll start up discussions on how to handle Project Dominion in the future. We have several theories. Dealing with a new element on a new planet has its own set of risks. Now, depending on your preference, you'll either find yourself in the maintenance hallway or the marketing department. I need you to take care of them. Of course they are. If you killed everyone who disagreed with you, I'm certain there'd be no one left. Ularu, Lyndon, Genevieve, Alexis, Dalton, and myself will be in attendance. We can't risk the assignment until we know your mind has the necessary protection. Once you're done, you're bringing the slate to David Barron at SSNN, and you're returning here to me with the prototype. Well, the person you could take that up with is no longer with us now, is she? Then we can see where your true loyalties lie when the board puts everything to a vote. The compensation should have been enough. To this day, I can only speculate on why the truth was so important. That doesn't belong to you, for now. But we must always look to the future. Exactly. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I never would have expected to hear those two weren't on the same side. Trust is a complex word in this industry. Infinity has a lot of appeal being in New Atlantis. I'm sure plenty of brilliant minds are there because they prefer the location. We like to keep them limited to populated areas, not lone mining stations. Enough! We can discuss the handling later. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. If only we had other options. You're back. So, the assignment is complete? My thought exactly. Well, that's your job to figure out. A fine point, but it still proves its usefulness. I truly appreciate what you've done. No operative has held the future of this corporation in their hands like you did. You have a job to do, so do it. Infinity, on the other hand, has acted out of desperation. Their name will go on a list for monitoring, and provided they don't do anything stupid, life goes on. But she's... It's true. Ularu's always put Ryujin first, and I can't argue that. As I was saying, when the truth was refused, he went after Bayu, accusing him of knowingly condoning the Council's actions. I don't want to hear about any incidents during your assignment, and I'm sure your paycheck doesn't want to either. I need you to use everything in your power to convince them. And that includes using the internal neuroamp. They've experienced these assignments in one form or another, so they are fully aware of the consequences of betrayal. If there's a key card, make someone hand it over. Or perhaps make them open the door themselves. You get the idea. Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross. Good. Infinity's net worth is about to hit rock bottom. So this gives us the opportunity to win a little more public faith. I'll need to schedule a few follow-ups after all this. I'll forgive your answer for now, but next time you walk in here, you better be ready to work. As long as I remain in charge, I don't expect us ever to employ such tactics again. Just hand Vina the shipment so we can get on with it. Those types of improvements in competency can easily help influence others. It could range between anything from actual business to petty personal reasons. Fine. I'll see to it you get the credits. Lyndon's prepared your pay, minus the necessary expenses. We'll be watching, so keep it fast, efficient, and incident-free. This isn't an act of mercy. It's a marketing ploy, provided the information our technicians uncover isn't too damning. Just hope those acting skills don't get you caught or killed. Have a seat, then figure it out. The next time I see you, you better be ready. Have a seat. I insist. We're trying to push a deal through, and all that stands in the way is a single executive.
Well done.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done. Seriously? You got what I wanted? I pay you to determine that for yourself. Extensive tests and research were done on the planet, so the chances that this is environmental are slim. That's exactly the frame of mind I expect from our operatives. If you feel confident enough in your own abilities, you're welcome to try to complete this assignment on your own. We can't lose that shipment. Consider this an opportunity, not a risk. Besides, you're in good hands with Vina. We get the occasional person who doesn't want to deal with us for unfounded reasons. Spite, morals, jealousy, just to name a few. That's all for now. Yes, on the fact that I'm innocent and completely capable of doing my job. Good, because that's a promise you had no authority to make. I want you to go see Dalton Fines, our chief security officer. I'll send him the details. I have Yuko's technicians looking into it, but time is of the essence here. They institute the laws and have the Freestar Rangers to enforce them.